All right, so we've got a video here today. We are going to be talking about something that I didn't think that we would be talking about. That's right, we're going to be talking about, well, beef. That's right, beef. Every time I think the CCP propaganda machine just can't get any more desperate, right? They do something that proves me wrong. Today's lie, we're lying about beef. That's right. Steak, talking about steak specifically, and the idea that American steak is too expensive for Chinese consumers because of tariffs, and that people in China are now switching to Australian and New Zealand beef because it's cheaper. Holy shit. Let's go ahead and watch the video here, see what she has to say.
Hello from China. So I'm in a grocery store right now, and I wanted to show you how the American tariffs are affecting Chinese customers. So I was gonna get some beef for dinner tonight, and I saw this. So what used to be here is American beef, but now, as you can see, it says Australian beef. And I did look around. I couldn't find one single bag of beef from America. So I guess China just stopped buying beef from America and it went straight to Australia. So the whole idea that China is hurting because of the American tariffs, well, they're not, because they're not as dependent on the US. In fact, only 18% of Chinese imports come from America. And for stuff like beef and soy, they can just go somewhere else easily. So I guess I'm having Australian beef for dinner tonight instead of American beef. And honestly, because of the food quality, I probably trust Australian beef better. And this box of beef right here is 50 RMB, which is about 7 US dollars. So to answer the question, China ain't hurting. And if anything, I think we're probably doing even better because now that we are better beef that tastes better and at a better price. So thank you, Trump, for that.
I like how she added the like. So thank you, Trump, for that. Like she tried to like chop it off with something really smart. You know, boy, if only she knew what she doesn't know. Right? It's how it always is. First of all, I want to start off by saying, obviously, I lived in China. Okay, I lived there for 7 years. I've been there on and off for longer than that. And as you can see, I like me some steak. Okay? I went to the grocery stores, I walked the aisles, I cooked the food, I saw the labels, and I can tell you right now, Australian and New Zealand beef were already the most common foreign beef choices in China, long before this propaganda push. Chinese supermarkets had freezers full of imported Australian beef. Do you know why? Because Australia is closer. Okay? It's a major beef exporter, and China has a long standing trade relationship with them. This is not new. This isn't some like market shift in response to tariffs. It's literally how it's always been. So to say that Chinese consumers they're now switching to Australian and New Zealand beef because tariffs on American beef. It's a lie. Okay, it's fake, it's theater, it's another act on the ongoing drama of China Good, America Bad. On a new episode of China Good, America Bad, today is beef. But where it gets even more ridiculous is the steak the woman is showing in the video. Think about that. Even if you're Australian, this woman's holding up a $7 beef steak. You're like, that's not even, it doesn't matter where you're from. That's not good. It's a cheap, thin, frozen piece of beef that could pass for off brand microwave dinner, okay? If she showed you that cut of meat in any American grocery store, people would laugh her off TikTok in 5 seconds. Okay, no one takes that serious at all. Okay, but this is the strategy: take a cheap cut of meat, throw it on camera, claim it's from the U.S., and say, "Look, it's so expensive now because of tariffs." And that's not how any of this works. The cost of imported goods has always been higher in China. Always. You think buying a foreign car in China is cheap? A BMW that costs 50,000 in the U.S., can easily cost 90 to 100,000 in China. It's not because the car is worse. It's because of imported goods in China are heavily taxed. That includes, of course, luxury taxes, VAT taxes, logistics costs, and government tariffs. And who's imposing those taxes? The Chinese government, not the U.S., not the CCP. Okay, they're the ones that are taxing those goods. Okay, and let's take it a step further. You ever notice how Chinese people are constantly asking Westerners on social media how much an iPhone is, or how much does the Nike shoe cost? They're not doing it for fun. They're doing it because they know Chinese net citizens are paying more for those products in China than we do in America. A product, that can be assembled in China, or in the cost of, in the way of Nike, they're even made in China, right? Think about that. How does an iPhone, something that's assembled in China, cost more than it does in the U.S.? Shouldn't the government have some kind of like discount? Say, hey, we assemble these here. We're gonna give a tax. We're gonna take the tax off, but they don't, right? Because the system is rigged. The prices are inflated. The government wants to keep imports expensive to control consumption and push these domestic alternatives, right? It's that simple. And again, this has nothing to do with U.S. tariffs. It's about China's economic policy, okay? China's import regulations and China's obsession with controlling the narrative. You want to know what this propaganda really is? Let's be serious here. It's deflection. It's desperation. It's China trying to paint itself as the victim yet again, while continuing to manipulate trade abuse and, the international system here. It's trying to spread lies about how the West is falling apart, even if it's just about beef. Okay? And let me be clear, Chinese citizens aren't switching to Australian and New Zealand beef because it's suddenly better or cheaper. They've been eating that for decades. The real reason they're not eating American beef, because the supply is low, because it's not easily available, because it costs a lot to ship from all the way to America, all the way to China. And even more, once it hits China, there's a ridiculous tax and a regulatory system anyways. Okay? And let's not forget, a lot of American beef isn't even sold in regular supermarkets in China. It goes to high-end restaurants, luxury hotels, and specialty stores. The kind of places regular people don't shop. You think that girl and her little family are shopping at the same places where they sell super expensive American top-end T-bone steaks? Of course not. So when this influencer acts like she's comparing two things on the same level, she's lying again. It's not a fair comparison, it's a stunt. And this is the classic CCP playbook. They always have to look strong, even if they have to lie to do it, right? And they always have to show the world that they're self-sufficient. Because she pointed that out too. Even when the data says otherwise, they always have to take some minor issue that no one cares about, like the price of a piece of cow, and use it to wage information war against the West over some steak, some beef. But what's the truth? The truth is that China imports massive amounts of food from other countries because they have to. Their land is poisoned, the water is polluted, and the agricultural base is unstable. They rely on imports to feed their people. That's why they have such complex trade relationship with countries like Brazil, Australia, New Zealand, and yes, even the United States. And the funniest part, even as they scream about reducing their reliance on the West, they're still buying American soybeans. They're still buying American wheat. They're still buying American corn. And yes, American beef. Okay? They're just doing it quietly, behind the scenes, through intermediaries, because the optics of buying American doesn't look good for the party. Okay? This is the contradiction of the CCP. They want to be the world's top power, okay? But they still depend on the systems that they claim to hate, right? They want to destroy the West, but they rely on the West for trade, technology, and even food. So let me say this again, louder for the people in the back. This isn't about steak, okay? This is not about tariffs. This is about the CCP losing the information war and trying to spin another fake narrative to distract from the truth. And the truth is, China's economy is collapsing. Their youth employment is through the roof. The real estate market is a disaster. Their factories are burning. Their people are rising up. And instead of fixing these problems, they're trying to make TikToks about steak. That'll fix the problem. That's what desperation looks like. And if they're lying about something as basic as a $6 piece of meat, imagine what else they're lying about. You know what the real cost of steak in China is? It's not measured by UN or dollars. It's measured by how much freedom you're willing to give up to keep swallowing their lies. Oh, man. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed today's video. More coming soon in the 30 for 30. And have a good day. Thank you so much.